Hello everyone, this is a video on why people should never take documentaries made by right-wing political movements seriously. Let's begin.
Classes and the races, too weak to master the new conditions of life, must give way. They must perish in the revolutionary Holocaust. Karl Marx.
I can tell you now that Karl Marx never said this. Indeed, look at this image. You will notice that there are two footnotes. One footnote for the first part of the quotation and a second footnote for the second half of the quotation. The first note comes from a primary source. The second note comes from a secondary source. If you type the first half of the quotation into Google, it will take you to an article written by Marx in 1953. The article is called Forced Immigration. That is where you will find the real quote. Society is undergoing a silent revolution, which must be submitted to, and which takes no more notice of the human existences it breaks down than an earthquake regards the house it subverts.
The classes and the races, too weak to master the new conditions of life, must give way.
But can there be anything more puerile, more short-sighted than the views of those economists who believe in all earnest that this woeful transitory state means nothing but adapting society to the acquisitive propensities of capitalists? In Great Britain, the working of that process is most transparent. The application of modern science to production clears the land of its inhabitants, but it concentrates people in manufacturing towns. So in this article it seems that Karl Marx was talking about workers from rural areas being forced to go to the cities to find work. It is clear to me that the Soviet story has attempted to smear and defame Karl Marx with their trickery. Let's look at their clip again.
The classes and the races, too weak to master the new conditions of life, must give way. They must perish in the revolutionary Holocaust. Karl Marx.
Now some of you think I have an irrational mistrust of right-wing historians and politicians. Do you still think that now? They find it this easy to completely misrepresent a popular historical figure. They are despicable.
Marx began it. He was the ancestor of modern political genocide. And I don't know that any European thinker of the modern period before Marx and Engels ever publicly advocated racial extermination. I can't find anything earlier, so I presume it starts with them.
Of course, this is complete rubbish as well. Conservatives, including the American founding fathers, had been carrying out genocide long before Marx put pen to paper. George Washington demanded the extermination of several Native American tribes and was nicknamed Town Destroyer by the survivors of his atrocities. Thomas Jefferson also voiced approval for the extermination of America's native people. Yet this clown claims that Karl Marx invented modern genocide. It's a joke.
Only socialists publicly advocated genocide in the 19th, 20th centuries. I think that's a very little known fact. And
the first ever extermination camp was established by the German conservative Lothar von Troffer. The camp on Shark Island was used to slaughter more than 70% of the Herero people.
He spoke about the vulgarity and dirtiness of Slavic people, you see. And he thinks, for instance, that Poland has no reason to exist.
Complete rubbish. Karl Marx actually wanted a free Poland. You can read his writings on the matter yourselves.
Looking at this grey monument in the very centre of Europe, one can't help thinking that it stands here because, deep in their hearts, many Europeans still believe in what these two men so persistently maintained. That when inferior nations are being killed, it cannot be seen as a crime, because it makes way for the more advanced nations to build a better life.
Now let's replace the statue of Marx and Engels with more accurate images.
Many Europeans still believe in what these two men so persistently maintained. That when inferior nations are being killed, it cannot be seen as a crime, because it makes way for the more advanced nations to build a better life. While this idea is alive, and while the spectre of these two men is haunting Europe, it will be very hard for its various nations to be truly united.